Tennessee Life is sponsored by Next to New, an upscale consignment shop serving Knoxville. nexttonewknox.com. And by The Flower Pot, for over 100 years, offering flowers and same-day delivery with 2 convenient Knoxville locations. knoxvilleflowerpot.com. And by viewers like you. Thank you. Coming up on Tennessee Life, a Knoxville native brings high fashion and the art of designing jeans back to his neighborhood. We have the story behind Marc Nelson Denim and the custom fit experience that takes jeans beyond basic.
I was walking down in the Market Square and I saw this guy and I was like, man, he's got some cool jeans on. And then I was like, wow, those are my jeans. Like, that's crazy.
The oldest family run 5 and 10 in America has Tennessee roots.
To me, retail is an art. It's like I'm painting my picture.
A bite of this Southern treat will take you back to when Grandma made it all from scratch. We learn more about the seasonal flavors in Dale's fried pies. These stories and more up next on Tennessee Life.
Thanks for joining us for Tennessee Life. I'm your host, Vicki Lawson. When you initially think of high fashion, you probably think of big designers in big cities. But a Tennessee native has started a high-end denim line in the Knoxville neighborhood where he grew up. Marcus Hall is trying to give people a new view and fit when it comes to their jeans. He talks with producer Stephanie Aldridge about the local influences behind the Marc Nelson Denim brand and the custom fit experience from the pockets to the buttons that'll have you rethinking this wardrobe basic.
Denim has always been there since I've been born. I mean, you know, it's only become a bigger staple. Now we're doing custom denim, and that was something that we really enjoy, putting people in jeans that actually fit them and look good on the waist. So make it, the waist is fine, but the 34 spec.
Do you remember when you first got interested in fashion beyond like, this is just the color shirt I'm gonna insist that I wear today, or something like that a typical youngster might do? When did you first feel like maybe you were paying a little bit more attention or a little bit more interested in it than other kids?
The normal kids, probably 4th grade. For Christmas, my grandmother bought me a studded cowboy shirt and some cowboy boots. And when I went to school, all the kids were going, whoa, wow. Like, I was like, I definitely want to do something that has to do with fashion then and there. So from that point on, I talked to my mom about it, and she sewed all of our lives. And it was cool to see her do that. So it piqued it just subliminally, I guess, just kind of got me curious. And yeah, I've messed around a lot on the sewing machine.
Any other family influences?
My grandparents play a huge part in the fact that I'm starting this lineup. My grandfather always told me, you know, always look like $1 million when you leave the house. Even if you don't have $1 million, obviously you want to represent your family and yourself the best you can each and every day. So that was important. And like I said, my grandmother buying me those boots and that shirt, and yeah, so it was really important for me to represent my family and look sharp and, you know, represent myself. Whether or not, you know, what my position might have been, you know, I always wanted to look good, and that made me feel good, because if you notice, if you look good, you generally feel good, right?
Clothing is such a big part of our memories, isn't it?
Absolutely. Memories were me standing outside waiting in a line, you know, in elementary, your parents to come pick you up, and every kid in that line had on a pair of Levi's, and their parents would get out and say, hey boy, you know, I put the buttons on that, or the zipper, or whatever, and you know, we took that for granted, and that's something that you kind of relate back to. It'd be really cool to have a product and that was represented throughout the world, made right here in East Tennessee.
Let's talk more about that plant a little bit. You had so many people in your life who worked there as well. Who were some of those people, and what did they do?
My brother worked there, uncles, aunts, and several of my best friends' family worked there, because at the time Levi's ran a 24/7 shift, so they were constantly open, and they did everything from the cut and sew there. They obviously applied all the hardware, but they even had a wash facility there. So every process of the Levi's jeans was done right here in Knoxville, Tennessee, on Cherry Street. I assumed that maybe one day I would actually work at that factory, and they shut down and sent the jobs, you know, to other countries.
Kind of interesting. That was going on then. an influence in your life, something you were seeing as a child.
Right on.
It went away,
Yeah.
and now here you are,
Yeah.
doing it here.
It was my dream. So 4 years ago, I kept dreaming of starting this denim company, and I asked my friends, I said, can I do that? And they go, of course you can. I wanted to go to LA and learn as much as I could, but we wanted to start production here in Knoxville. And then from LA, we moved a little closer. We did some stuff in Bristol at the LC King factory, and now we are currently producing some things in Blue Ridge, Georgia, until obviously we set up our production here in the warehouse that we just started working on. So the first line was a men's line because I wanted to wear my own clothes and represent the line, and here we go. The first piece was the coal miner, and actually I have it in here in a little block. There was the whole prototype process, and basically we picked out the fabric. Then we picked out, at the initial launch was a relaxed cut, a boot cut, and a skinny.
You know, I think men today are very fashion conscious, but to launch men's first before women's, aren't women usually the ones willing to spend a little bit more money on a pair of jeans from the get-go?
You're probably right. They definitely shop more, and that was totally just me wanting to wear them. It was a selfish move. I wanted to wear and represent my own line. And honestly, it was easier to start with the men's line because women's cuts can be a lot more complicated. You know, you have to be able to, the waist and the fit is very important. And not saying that it's not in men, but a men's jean, you can kind of base it. It's a little boxier. It's not as hard to fit a man as a woman. So I wanted to get my feet wet and see if it was possible and if I could actually establish a line.
What's the price point?
Price point ranges from $168 all the way up to, you can get a pair of custom jeans for about $600, depending on how much you add on.
Are you finding this to be at all a hard sell in this economy for people to spend that kind of money on jeans?
Pleasantly surprised not. And that's kind of the whole deal, is that we didn't initially start with the customization. We just had customers come to the warehouse and go, hey, it would be cool if I could do A, B, C, and what about if I got a different pocket lining? And then I said, well, we should make a custom booklet. So no, we want to sell to the masses, but we also want to be able to offer a piece of Marc Nelson that would be yours, that would be your own piece. You made it up. It's your own jean, and we're proud about that. We think it's going to work out really well. It's a very personal experience. So I like the one-on-one.
You want button fly or zipper fly?
Zipper.
Okay, zipper fly. You got it.
Have you noticed things happening in your hometown of Knoxville that also make you think that, hey, this is the right time and the city is ready for a high fashion jean like what I'm wanting to put out there?
Obviously, Knoxville isn't the fashion capital of the world, but the support that we've been able to get and not seeing the growth in downtown, we're quite confident that this will become a hot spot. It's, like I said, a destination point where people can come in and not just buy a pair of blue jeans, but actually see the process of them being made. I was walking down in the Market Square and I saw this guy and I was like, man, he's got some cool jeans on. And then I was like, wow, those are my jeans. Like, that's crazy. So, and I talked to him and he was like, man, nice to meet you. And I was like, that's very cool to meet you and thank you for supporting Marc Nelson Denim. So yeah, very cool feeling. That is, it's nothing like seeing someone, that's exactly why I do this though. Yeah, it's cool to see someone that you don't know wearing your jeans and they like them. That's an awesome feeling, absolutely.
Next on Tennessee Life, a historic Five and Dime says goodbye to the area it has served for 57 years and hello to a new expanded storefront. And later, sweet or savory, we sink our teeth into the homemade goodness of locally made fried pies.
There was a time when you could go to your local 5 and 10 for a pair of jeans or just about anything else. I remember the excitement I had as a little girl walking into Emery's 5 and 10 almost every day just to see what was new on the shelves. Now this Knoxville Cornerstone will be a part of a new tourist attraction in Pigeon Forge. I sat down with Ron Emery, grandson of founder E.L. Emery, who started the chain in Tennessee in 1927. He talks about the new vision for this oldest family-run 5 and 10 in America as it moves from the building it has occupied for more than half a century. thank you so much for joining us today and coming and sharing some exciting news about your family history of Emery's that was started in 1927.
Well, thank you for having me.
I understand that your grandfather started the 5 and 10 business, and I'm curious about some of the history and what he was dreaming of.
We started Emery's in 1927, and to go back further on history is the 5 and 10s were started by Frank Woolworth in the late 1800s. He was working for a dry good company in New York, and at that time, the old stores had a wall units and a fixture in front of the wall units, and all the merchandise was behind there, and the customer could not touch it, and nothing was priced. So what would happen when you came to the store to look at this item, the clerk would hand it to you and then price it depending on your perceived wealth. And so Frank worked for the dry goods company, and this owner had a bunch of salesman samples and things to get rid of, so he asked Frank to build a little table in the middle of the store and make everything 5 cents, which he did, and it was very successful. And then he talked the owner into financing a 5-cent store, and they did, and it was in a bad location, and he closed, but he came back and with his brother and a 10 cents merchandise and opened the store, and then he was very, very successful after that. And in fact, what's really kind of funny too, that little table Frank built, it was gold and red, and all the 5 and 10s back then, all the signs were gold and red for that, so he started all that. So my grandfather and that obviously wanted to start his own business, and that was the really going concept then. And so that's when he opened his first 5 and 10 in 1927.
Well, you know, 5 and 10s were very important in their communities. People would go there for just about everything. You know, I'm just curious, why do you think that was?
Well, they were your kind of general store. I mean, you want to evolve past the old general store. They were your general store. We sold health and beauty aids, clothing. I mean, we're the main store in all these little towns we're in.
Right.
So that's what it was, just a big variety store.
You know, I remember Emery's 5 and 10. My grandmother had a little restaurant, a little mom and pop restaurant in a little community such as that. And I remember there were 2 5 and 10 stores, and I remember Emery's being one of them, and such fond memories of going over there because everything was unique. Everything was available, plus it was also interesting and exciting to go over there every day just to see what you had gotten in. And I think that is always something that you still see now, that people get excited about seeing those things.
Well, it's the unique variety that all the stores always had, and people would love just digging through this and digging through that to see what they could find.
Do you think that the renewed interest in Emery's 5 and 10, do you think that it was because of the values, because of the nostalgia, because of the, you know, just people being able to get things from their past, or what do you think has been really the draw?
You know, people like to say they like to shop local and independence, but you know, that goes so far. And I appreciate people saying that, but I know I have to earn that. We have to have a unique variety of merchandise, something different you don't find anywhere else, and that's what brings them in.
So what do you think would be something that customers would really miss if you stopped selling?
Oh gosh, we carry, as I say, we go to shows in Europe, and we're still the variety store, but each department I've re-identified with something different. For example, our gardening tools we get from Holland. It's a family business from the 1800s. They're all hand forged, and we will take those up there, and those are the best there are. And everything in the store has a story, and there's a reason why we carry it. There's some content to it. We carry a line of dish towels from Italy, and I just met the 8th generation. He said that during the 1700s, Napoleon's uniforms were blue, and they got a dye from the indigo plant in Africa. Well, then the British cut the trade off, and then they found a plant in Italy had the same color dye. And so Napoleon made their villa his headquarters, and he put these machines in their basement and made uniforms for the French troops. I got a picture of those machines. When Napoleon left, he left the machines in 1842. They started a textile company, one of Napoleon's machines. And they're quite famous worldwide, and they're the best textiles you can buy. The modern machines beat the cotton up so bad, it loses its sorption ability. People are amazed now when they buy a dish towel. They don't even pick up water. And what it is, the machines just ruin the characteristics of cotton, and so the Italians are really sensitive to make sure the cotton performs. So when you buy things in our store, it's been well researched, and so these are things people they would miss if we quit carrying, because you can't find this stuff anywhere.
Tell me about this new exciting opportunity to be part of a tourist attraction. This is, you're going to what's called the Island in Pigeon Forge. That is very exciting. That's a big move for you.
Being third generation retailer, I'm always pondering the future, where we need to be, what's going to happen, and things were starting to look more bleak all the time. And so this opportunity to go to the Island Pigeon Forge, just, I mean, it's a gift from God. It was a real blessing. And I think that will ensure our success and continuation by going up there, because we have a great assortment of merchandise. We have people driving from Atlanta, from Kentucky, come shopping there. And so so it's great, but so we know we have that right, but we just lack the amount of traffic you needed, and this will allow us to have that kind of traffic that enable us to survive.
As you go to the new store, tell me, what are some of you're taking a lot of the old concept with you? Are you incorporating new concepts into your store, into your new location?
We're going to bring on new things in, but it's still going to be a variety store. And with this volume, it'll allow us to add even more variety. And also, sometimes you look at retail as being entertaining, so we're going to make this very entertaining. And so we'll have a lot of gizmos, gadgets, and stuff that'll fascinate you. You'll want to really explore the store.
This is an exciting opportunity, but it's a little bit hard, I'm sure, for you to see the other store close and be liquidated. Tell me a little bit about your feelings there.
Well, it was hard to make that decision. And like I say, it took me about 2 months to come to that. And when I went up and they showed me the space for the first time, I woke up 3 that morning and said, I can't do this. There's no way I can run 2 stores like this. And then the next day I woke up and said, well, I cannot do this. Mm-hmm. And so it's pretty obvious at that point I knew what I had to do, because this is such a great opportunity. And for me, I mean, I hate to leave Knoxville, could be in our 87 years, but we opened a store in Sevierville in the late 20s. And so we're just kind of going back to Sevier County, so I'm used to kind of moving around, and it's not like we're going away. We're just a little further away, and I just think actually people are going to really enjoy this move, because the volume is going to allow me to do more fun things and more interesting items, and expand the things that are fun. And we have these old family businesses around the world from the 1800s come in, so we'll be able to allow us to do more of that. The touching part of all this is how involved people came with the store and how much they enjoyed the store, and that's just made us feel good, because to me, retail is an art. It's like I'm painting my picture, and when people come in and shop and like your store, then they're approving you. And that is a real gift, to be able to express yourself, and just have the ability to go out and express yourself in that way is just really a gift. And when people come in and prove it and make it successful with it, it's a feeling you can't describe.
Today's social media is helping people find a traditional crispy Southern treat. Take a bite of Dale's fried pies and they just might take your mind and your taste buds back to your grandma's kitchen when she made goodies from scratch using the best available in-season produce. We learn more about the seasonal flavors in Dale's fried pies and why keeping it simple has been a key ingredient for success.
My name is Dale Mackey, and I just opened up Dale's Fried Pies, which is a mobile pie stand selling fried pies of all different kinds.
For a long time, I've wanted to do sort of a creative food business of my own, and I've always liked food businesses that really perfect one type of food and do it really well. And fried pies were interesting to me, one, because they are a regional, sort of local food that a lot of people in the South ate growing up. So there's a lot of nostalgia around it. People have really good memories of them. Of course, they're also delicious. But also because, there's so much room for creativity within them, because you can fill them with basically whatever you want. So that kind of combination of things made me interested in them. And then I started cooking them a lot and got really good at it. And thought I'd try to make it into a business. I've always enjoyed cooking. I've always enjoyed baking of all different kinds. You know, ever since I was a little kid, my mom really loved to cook as well, and I would, you know, watch her cook, and she made a lot of pies too. And my godmother, who sort of took care of me when I was a little kid instead of me going to daycare, is from Kentucky, and so she would cook a lot of Southern food. I didn't really necessarily realize it was Southern food until I moved to the South, and then I started saying, oh, this is exactly what my godmother made me when I was a little kid. I really like whenever I'm in a place to try to, you know, understand the food traditions and what, you know, what kind of food is available and what kind of food people grew up eating, so it's sort of a natural thing.
It seems like every other person that I sell a pie to, their mom or their grandma made fried pies for them when they were little. A lot of people have really positive memories attached to them. People seem to really, really enjoy them and be really intrigued about it.
I wanted to do a mobile pie stand because to open up a full brick and mortar restaurant when you've never done that before is quite a large undertaking, and I didn't really have the experience or the capital to do that. So I thought I would start small, sort of see how it went, see where it went and what kind of response I got, and go from there. I considered buying just a regular, you know, outfitted food truck. But again, I really wanted to start as small as possible. I said, what is, you know, the least amount of money really that I can put in and start a business so that, you know, I'm kind of free to do what I want. I'm not hampered by tons of debt right from the beginning. So I found online little plans to make a kids lemonade stand. And so we just took those plans and scaled them up and built what is basically an adult-sized sort of lemonade stand looking thing, and did some modifications so that I could fry the pies on site on the stand or just, you know, prepare them in a different kitchen and sell them. I've always really enjoyed making things, and I've always really enjoyed, you know, thinking about how things will look. And that was a big fun part about starting this off, is sort of what feel did I want it to have. And I really wanted it to have the feel of like a roadside stand. Where, you know, you're passing by and you see boiled peanuts or apples, things like that. Well, to make a fried pie, you basically start with pie dough. So I make my own pie dough. You roll it out into a little sort of circle, and then whatever kind of filling you want to use, you put it in there and crimp it shut, and then it's deep fried. So there is a lot of variation in terms of what you can put in the pie. The traditional ones are apple and peach. Those are the ones that most people ask for most of the time. I don't have peach in the wintertime because there aren't good peaches available. What's available, what's good, just tastes better in a pie. So in the summertime, there's a lot more sort of berry pies, there's a lot more fresh fruit pies, whereas then in the wintertime, I transition more to, I do a lot of sweet potatoes, there's a lot of that kind of thing available, a lot of pumpkins, squashes, things that are available then. One of the interesting things about having a mobile food business is that you're doing this thing that is very traditional, making these, you know, traditional fried pies that people have been eating for years and years and years. But then you're combining it with modern technology to be able to connect with the people who are your customers. Because when you have a mobile food business, you can't say, this is where I am, show it to them on a map, you can always come here, here are the hours. The hours often vary, and where you are really varies. So you have to have a more dynamic way of interacting with people, and sort of an ever-changing way of interacting and connecting with people who want your pies. So I don't do any kind of traditional advertising at all. The only way that people really know about me is word of mouth or from social media. So if I'm going out for an event, I'll post it on Facebook, I'll post it on Twitter, I'll take a picture and put that on Instagram, and try to just let as many people as possible know where I'm gonna be that day. But when I get people coming to the stand who say that they are coming to a place just to get the pies, it's always that they've heard about it on some form of social media. So it's really interesting. It's a really different way than a traditional restaurant of being able to connect with people and what's going on. I can post what kind of pies I'll have there that day, so someone can go online and say, no, I don't really want any of those flavors. Oh my gosh, that's my favorite one, so I'm definitely going to go to where she is right now. I've had people be downtown and look on Twitter, see that I'm right around the corner, and just show up because they happen to be there, which is pretty awesome. Every time I go out, I feel like, I get more people coming by, more people who already know. I get more people who are repeating, they're seeking me out. I am selling as many pies as I can make, or I'm making as many pies. I'm really, at this point, just kind of running to keep up.
Look for Dale's Fried Pies to go from stand to food truck in the next phase of her business. We hope you've enjoyed looking back with us a little bit with food and five and dimes, and forward with high style and fashion. Just a few of the things that come together to make a great Tennessee life. I'm Vicki Lawson. See you next time.
Tennessee Life is sponsored by Next to New, an upscale consignment shop serving Knoxville. Next to New Knox.com. And by The Flower Pot, for over 100 years, offering flowers and same-day delivery with 2 convenient Knoxville locations. KnoxvilleFlowerPot.com.